handouts there. So what I'm talking about here is, so we still doing this non-inclusive syllabus thing, because I want to know, so we still really doing it. So that is intentional that I do not have, so we are. That's very intentional. So I call on TPC instructors to reconsider the tendency in special topic TPC courses, to engage in the work of scholars of color and special interest, and reconsider the curricular dependency on TPC work by and about marginalized communities on special topic courses. So I'm just going to jump down. So in other words, we don't need another Black, Latin, Queer TPC course, but rather a TPC course with Black, Latin, Queer scholars included. So I have some key takeaways. We only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as the pastor say, I won't be before you long. So we're going to chat a little bit about this. So the first thing is, syllabi are TPC artifacts that serve as extensions of departments' commitment to diversity and inclusion. By now, there are a lot of departments with these diversity statements, and you have institutionalized diversity statements. And I think it's time that we kind of reflect on what does it look like to enact that statement within your program. So even though we have these statements, it's crucial we follow up and research how such statements are being taken up and measured. In doing so, we are able to ensure the bridge between institutionalized diversity and problematic diversity is stronger and more effective. So such documents move, such TPC documents move everything into action. So syllabi are a part of that action part, right? Also, as I said in the previous talk, we diversify a field from the bottom up. It doesn't come from the top down. So in order to do that, we have to diversify our syllabus as well. So in working and recognizing the work of diversity and inclusion, it always begins in the classroom. So next, race and ethnicity inform the production and distribution of technical communication in the United States, and this should be reflected in course syllabi. So it's kind of the same reflective thing. We all know these things are happening, but why are they not happening in our syllabi and our syllabus? So Merriam-Webster and Octavia Pintel's Communicating Race, Ethnicity, and Identifying Technical Communication better articulates the intersection of race and ethnicity as informants of technical communication in the United States. So it's very important that that's something we're constantly reflecting on. And I'm going to get to something else on that as well. Inclusive syllabi helps the field of TPC disengage in the possibility of camouflaging power and privilege within the institution and its programs. So one way that I look at this is when you don't include scholars of color on your syllabi, what you do is you situate those people outside of the academy and you camouflage your power and privilege. And these discourses enact images of people of color as outsiders, at-risk victims, commodities, and change agents. So they don't become a part of the conversation. And then situating these people of outsiders as an institution, at risk, and before and during participation in education. So it showcases that they are actually dependent on the university for success in higher education. In other words, the savior complex happens, in which is situated that they actually need that education. So we're not going to include them in our syllabi and our syllabus because we need to make sure that they're doing really good and all that good stuff. So again, we don't need another course that focuses on historically marginalized communities, but it does help. So I do not want to discredit and say that that's not something that does not need to happen or cannot happen. However, this pestering still places these scholars on the outside of the current field. So again, all of this stuff needs to happen within the field, but the moment that we continue to have only specialized topic courses in African American rhetoric, then you still put them outside. It's kind of like at a lot of times in the literature field, and when people say, like, we have an African American literature course, as if African American literature is not a part of literature itself. So we can't continue to do this division thing there. And then we have here, inclusive syllabi challenge historical perceptions of historically marginalized groups. For example, the myth of Black disingenuity. So, Technology and African American Experiences, the Needs and Opportunities for Study by Bruce Sinclair breaks this down as ways of making knowledge is often embedded in the values and cultures of a program. For example, HBCUs, or historically Black colleges and universities, have become the space for African Americans to create and utilize already present technologies to escape racial prejudice. The knowledge acquired by African Americans in their lives and also as slaves has transcended into the classroom of HBCUs and completely challenged the myth of Black disingenuity, which is the idea that Black people do not have the knowledge to showcase and add to. So Black invisible technologies such as seed chants, and songs like Follow the Drinking Gourd have informed the wealth of knowledge at HBCUs and have led to a reflection of how we define TPC. One thing that I always say, and I thank goodness Rebecca asked me about this at lunch because I had enough time to make sure I got it right. One of the arguments that I make in my dissertation is TPC artifacts can be defined by different cultures as TPC operates within a culture, not on the outside of it, all the while TPC influences the same culture it operates within. I know that's a thick piece, but I finally got it. I finally got it back right. And finally, that diversification of the field of TPC again begins in the classroom, not following, so it happens bottom up. And then most importantly, if you want to have a diversified graduate program, it might be worth the while to actually include stuff that they can personally relate to. So as I leave you all here today, I want you guys, because a lot of you have your computers after everyone's chat, I want you guys to all pull up your syllabus and your syllabi, and I want you to highlight how many scholars of color that you have, queer scholars and all of that, and I want you to find me and tell me how many. Okay, thank you.